All right. So I just wanted to check in and see how the Rubin report was doing. I would actually do more content watching a Rubin report, but it's all long form videos. And honestly, Dave is such a brain melting dumb fuck that I don't think I could bring myself to do it. So instead, every now and then when there's one that's like of a reasonable amount of time, I'll check it out. Now, Megyn Kelly is really interesting because Megyn Kelly was like hardcore Fox News. Then she went, and I can't remember which channel she started working for. Seemed to be kind of softening a little bit, and then she's kind of back into being a piece of shit again. Obviously, she's talking to Dave Rubin, who's an idiot. But this is why more families are abandoning public schools in droves. So let's see.
I almost feel like I'm kind of the same, but the ground shifted beneath me. I didn't like radically change my own positions, but they've started to mean different things. I used to think I was more liberal socially, but I can't say that now because what that means now is you're pro this radical trans agenda and you're pro.
Radical trans agenda. Radical trans agenda. What is the radical trans agenda really hoping for? I keep trying to figure out what they're talking about when they're talking about this. What does the people who are pro trans want? What do they want? I mean, like if you list out what they are looking for, it's pretty much the same as anybody else. They want dignity and to have the same recognition as anybody else and access to the same everything as everybody else. Like whatever. And it does not in any way affect Megyn Kelly, but because it makes her feel icky, now she's like, I guess I can't be that liberal. I mean, it's fine. Like you can be liberal and some things you're not quite comfortable with, and that's fine. But it should not be a basis for why you deny somebody the same access to life as you.
Pro race essentialism. I'm not pro any of that. It used to mean like, I don't know, just an entirely different field of things. And I used to be more pro national security and sort of the national security apparatus. I'm Gen Xer, experienced 9/11 on a personal level. Mm, Things have changed there.
9/11 made you pro national security? That's a strange take. That's a very strange take. That's a 9/11 happened, so I was really okay with the government having overwhelming authoritarian power to spy on and and monitor citizenry. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was important that we nip that in the bud. And there was actually quite a few, and we probably will never know the full extent, quite a few attacks that never happened because we put in place the right kind of apparatus to protect the country. That's good. That's cool. But that whole thing of like, well, the government needs to have the power to do this, and then we'll give it back. Well, they just skipped the last part,
Too, I definitely, the farther we get from 9/11, the less we need a lot of those tools, and the more I see them being abused. My feelings about
How are they being abused? In what way are they being abused? I mean, if you're going to make a case of that, the government can spy on people far too much, sure. If it's the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, then we have a problem here because that has nothing to do with it.
Federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI have changed as we've learned more information. So I feel like
There it is.
the world has shifted, and my opinions of it have changed accordingly. But I remain non-ideological.
Sure, of course. Sure.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is the host of the Megyn Kelly Show, Megyn Kelly.
Weird.
Megyn, I just said your name 3 times. That's 4 if I say Megyn one more time. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I realize that's quite an intro. If I say this is the host of the Megyn Kelly Show, Megyn Kelly, and then I want to say your name to bring you in.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Jesus fucking Christ. This man's comedy timing is just genius. Also, Dave looks like shit lately. I mean, look, I don't really have much room to talk. I'm aging like fine cheese. Like no, fine milk, excuse me. But Jesus Christ, Dave, you're looking rough.
It's a lot of Megyns. A lot of
Yeah,
Megyns.
MK.
But I got you. How you doing,
Appreciate
sister?
it.
What's going on?
I'm doing great. All is well. I'm excited. This has been a great news cycle. It always makes me happy. And my kids are in a good place now, so that makes me happy too. All is well.
Let's do the kids stuff first. You fled New York City. You're in the suburbs over there, but you still are in the tri-state area, let's say. Are you protected enough from the insanity just by leaving Manhattan?
Yes, I am. And I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled we did it. We've talked about the awfulness of the New York City private schools before and how hardcore left they went. I mean,
Wait, okay, hang on. I'm just like you, really. I, sent my kids to the most prestigious private schools in New York, but gosh darn it, they still went so far left. Golly gee, shucky fucking darn. What the fuck?
hardcore. Asking my boys, and they're all boys' school regularly, if they were sure they were still boys. That school no longer refers to boys as boys. They call them your student. Go collect your student. They don't say son.
Jesus Christ, the harshness of your lives. Oh my God, how does Megyn Kelly survive these blows, these stabbing arrows of offense? What the fuck?
This was one of the more traditional schools in the city.
Yeah.
That's why we
Yeah.
chose it. If we wanted far left, we would have gone to Dalton. We chose one that was more traditional, but it went hardcore at the thing about, race essentialism and in every classroom where white children learn there's a future killer cop. I mean, they went far
Ooh.
left. So we pieced out of there pretty quickly. And we found this school in Connecticut when we did our homework, of course. It's still boys and girls because I have 2 boys and a girl. And my boys' school in particular has been outstanding. My little guy says the pledge every day. We went to the annual dinner where they, say hello to all
What is that supposed to accomplish? Holy shit. It's
the parents just the other day, last week. And the head of school stood out there and said, "We are unabashedly pro-American here.
Okay.
And we do not believe in equity of outcome.
We are pro cruelty.
We believe in equality of opportunity. And we don't
Yeah.
believe in teaching these boys what to think. We want to teach them how to think." Like, Dave, you or I could have written this as the ideal ethos for our school. And so a single tear was running out. Thank God. Thank God. Our girls' school's been better than where she was. I wouldn't say it's quite as great as the boys, but we're working on it.
Do you feel undue pressure when you send your kids to a school? I mean, you're Megyn Kelly, every administrator, teacher.
Is that something schools in the U.S. actually do, the pledge every day? It's a lot less common as it used to be. But yeah, like when I grew up, they didn't make us do it in middle school, but in elementary school, yes, we had to say the Pledge of Allegiance every fucking day. Everybody had to get up, out of their desks, put their hands over their heart, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance while staring at the flag. No fucking shit. Yeah. It's fucking weird.
Teacher and all the other parents, they're going to know who you are. They're going to know that if they overstep on something or if they have an odd policy, there's a good chance you're going to talk about it. That's got to be a kind of delicate balance because you also want to keep your kids private and all that.
Well, I don't talk about what schools we're at or even what city we're in because I really have had some very dark security issues in my past as an anchor. So just as a security measure,
Fair.
I don't do that. And so I wouldn't be embarrassing this. It would take a massive fall down. Even when I left the New York City schools, I haven't named them. I don't talk.
I hate how being pro-American has now been tainted to a point where it's a dog whistle for bigotry and censoring history to be in favor of a more twisted idea of our history. I agree. But the thing is, too, is like when people, especially people like this, talk about how they're pro-American, they're not, because the ideas of America are offensive to them. They don't actually like America. They like this idea of America that has literally never existed.
About them by name. My goal's not to embarrass anybody. But if they cross the line far enough, I would have to. It's definitely, an arrow in my quiver. And hopefully they won't necessitate it. I will say, like, if something happens, I've become a squeaky wheel. There was a memo that went out by one teacher citing Kendi and anti-racist this. And immediately I was on the horn, like, what's this? And the school was already on it. They had already taken care of it. They were 2 steps ahead of me. So I knew I was in the right.
No teaching about how some things might be bad and might be racist still. We're not allowing that. That's not okay. It's very, very, very telling. It's strange, too, because this conservative mindset that has become extremely popular, which is anti-school, they're very much anti-school, is a controlling method because schools naturally change with the times. They have to. Our theories evolve, our evidence changes, we understand the world a little bit better, and society changes. And the the way in which conservatives tend to battle against that has not necessarily been through schools. They would use kids, but they would instill like panic and fear about the safety of your kids. Now it's tearing down the basic institution of education in total, you know?
Right place. But I can't really worry about that. And I will say, if I speak out publicly, because for example, my daughter's school, they were looking for a new head of school, and we went to all the meetings, and I listened to every single candidate and what she was saying on, their vision, and I asked all the tough questions about diversity, equity, inclusion, the lovely name that doesn't match up in
Uh-huh.
practice. And I had so many parents come to me after the fact saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's like, you know how it is when you're out there, like you're out there with your opinions, and so am I. People are grateful because they're still stuck on the other side. They don't feel like they can especially touch those third rails. And so they feel really validated when they hear somebody who can do so.
This is an interesting comment. It might not be too long until we recreate that history, though. We're currently in the start of a genocide against LGBT. I fully believe it's actually possible for us to get pushed over the edge. I would not go that far. I would not go that far. What I would say instead is that is 100% a goal. That is 100% a goal of a lot of these people, and it's one of the reasons why they're attacking public schools. One of the things that seems to really bother them is that their children can accept things that they cannot. This is real. This is true. So, for instance, like I ran into an old friend a couple of days back, and she has a daughter, and her daughter's like 11 or so, and we just got to talking. Me and her mom were talking about some of our old friends, and she was like, "Wow, can you believe that so and so's daughter is 15 now?" And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." And this little girl is like, "Actually, she doesn't go by that anymore. She goes by this, and she prefers male pronouns instead, and has a boyfriend, is gay and has a boyfriend." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you for telling me. That's good for me to know." They're like, "It's cool." And it was just like this little girl. There's nothing weird for her because their school is not instilling within them feelings of fear. They're just instilling within them like, this is how you just be nice to somebody because that's how they want to be treated. That's it. Parents who are uncomfortable with this are so pissed that their kids are not as what's a good word, insecure like they are, that they are directly trying to attack educational institutions so that their kids will not be nice. Like that's what this is all about. 100%.
I can only imagine at like a school board meeting how they're all staring at you like, Megyn will do it. We can just kind of sit back here. She'll take care of it. Do you think your politics have shifted at all in the last couple of years? Like, I think you and I, as much as I can think of anyone in a public sphere, I think we're like pretty darn close on things. And whatever the differences are, it just doesn't matter in terms of being human and friends. Mm-hmm. But, as things have spun out of control over the last couple of years, do you think you've shifted on certain things?
Well, I almost feel like I'm kind of the same, but the ground shifted beneath me.
Yeah, this is where it started. And yeah. And it's very strange that she's going to say this because it's not even remotely true. And a lot of people say the Overton window has shifted so that, people who are, moderate left are now suddenly on the far right. And that's not even remotely true at all.
I didn't like radically change my own positions, but they've started to mean different things. I used to think I was more liberal socially, but I can't say that now because what that means now is you're pro this radical trans agenda and you're pro race essentialism. I'm not pro any of that. It used to mean like, I don't know, just an entirely different field of things. And I used to be more pro.
Yeah, but she's telling on herself that she always was afraid of and disliked transgender people. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what she's doing. She's telling on herself. I mean, and this is so bullshit too. Like Southern Baptists, up until like fucking the 90s, maybe it was the 80s. Southern Baptists were pro-choice. They were pro-choice. Most of the Christian church, pro-choice. For a long time. Long time.
National security and sort of the national security apparatus. You know, I'm Gen Xer, experienced 9/11 on a personal level. Things have changed there too. I definitely, the farther we get from 9/11, the less we need a lot of those tools, and the more I see them being abused. My feelings about federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI have changed as we've learned more information. So I feel like.
So yeah, she dislikes all of the national security stuff that we got from 9/11, not because of the invasion of people's privacy rights and the abuses of like Citizens United and shit like that and Patriot Act, blah blah blah. No, it's because Trump got raided because he's a traitor.
The world has shifted, and my opinions of it have changed accordingly. But I remain non-ideological. You know, at heart, I'm a soulless lawyer who wants to be persuaded with facts. And if you come to me with better facts, instead of saying, "Oh, I was wrong," I'll say, "Hallelujah! I've learned something new. I'm smarter today than I was yesterday." So
yeah, I know. Citizens United didn't have anything to do with Patriot. I brain fart for a second.
I'm not ideological. I'm certainly not a knee-jerk Republican or Democrat. I'm still a registered independent and remain open-minded.
Do you think that can work, the independent thing, like in sort of real politics? I know it can work for you privately and personally, but like that in terms of just this craziness that we're in, it's either like we're going to usher in more of this woke stuff or maybe we can stop it. But the middle thing is just it's just getting harder to hold in a way.
Middle's not the right word. Independent is different. Independent is just, I think, non-ideological and open to calling BS on both sides. But I'll give you an example.
She's an enlightened centrist skeptic, everybody.
To one of these like events where you show up and you have deep conversations and people buy a ticket to listen. And one of the guys who was there spoke near when I did was Andrew Yang. And I like Andrew Yang a lot. I don't agree with him on most of his positions, but he's the kind of Democrat I could get behind. Tulsi Gabbard, she's the kind of Democrat I could get behind.
Tulsi Gabbard. First of all, Andrew Yang is a dumb fuck. Second of all, Tulsi Gabbard is not a fucking Democrat. Holy shit. She's a fucking Putin ball gargler who's running fucking bullshit for the Republicans. Like, that's so fucking dumb.
Behind. In no world do I ever see myself backing somebody like Matt Gaetz for president. I could never back.
Okay, based.
Somebody like AOC. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not my cup of tea.
There you go.
So
okay, good.
I don't know. Like if it were Marjorie Taylor Greene versus Andrew Yang, I'd probably go with Andrew Yang. So that's what I mean. Like, yeah, it could work for me. I don't know if it's going to work for the country, but for my own personal politics, I'd be fine with that.
If you're looking.
I'll give her at least that. That is a bit more of a centrist perspective. The problem really comes down to an understanding of what is going on currently with our political spectrum. Okay. The Democrats have taken over for the Republicans. The Democrats, mainline Democrats, are pretty much politically where the Republicans were decades ago, okay? We do not really have a liberal left-leaning party. This constant narrative that the trans and the woke and the race essentialist shit is like all coming from Democrats and it's super lefty and blah is bullshit. It's like the bare minimum, It's really not that big of a fucking deal. And the reason why it's weaponized so much is because if you can push against that, then you can drive more people further right. Not right, further right. Further right. Now, Megyn Kelly is a useful tool for the right wing. And keep in mind, everything about the Rubin Report, every single guest, Dave himself, all of this is paid propaganda by strategists that work specifically for the right wing. Every single fucking aspect of it. is carefully cultivated for the right, 100%. But this idea that if you can make Megyn Kelly seem palatable to people who are independent voters, then you can get them to start thinking how she thinks, and that is a right-leaning thought process. That's the road. That's the road. And that's where she's trying to guide people. So, I mean, it would be interesting if it wasn't so fucking obvious. All right? Just... Oh, yeah, one more.
Up yours, woke moralists.
Yeah.